Good morning, everyone. This is the Vermont House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. It is Thursday, March 11th, 2026 at 9:47 in the morning. So we're here to have a final look at H 385, which is the coalition debt bill. Have a final run through committee discussion and vote. So we have our legislative counsel with us, Maria Royal. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning, everyone. So I will share my screen. And pull up for you. This is draft 1.17. And substantively, it is identical to what we reviewed yesterday. All of the highlighting, obviously in bold, have been taken out. It has been reviewed by our editors and some typos fixed. But otherwise, it's the same. Would you like to run through it, or do you have particular questions?
Committee, would you like to run through one more time? Are you comfortable with after we looked at it yesterday? Okay, I guess everyone's comfortable with what we have. Discussions?
So, concerns I have with the bill are just concerns about whether there will be unintended consequences, potential for fraud. How are we tracking that? The sort of two pieces that I've been putting thought into and work to is there a way to provide more accountability for the third party professional, and or a way to set up for more data collection in order to flag problems. So those are the two pieces that, I think those are the two pieces that I'm struggling with. I don't know if anybody has thoughts.
I recognize them, but I don't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of where you're at. I don't know what we can do,
Yeah. And I think on the, yeah, no, right. It may be, I think I'm comfortable and I'll support the bill, but I guess I want to say that those are my concerns, that the third party professional feels like an potential avenue for fraud, and I would love it if we could find a way to track data to know how often. I did a research looking at most of the other states who have this law. It's very new, like just maybe even going into effect the last few months. Maine has had it longer. Nobody has a robust data collection system. We don't really know how much it's being used. And so maybe that means it's not being used much. Maybe that means it's being used a lot. Maybe there's fraud. Maybe there's not. So that's my concern. And so, and maybe, on the Senate side, assuming this goes through, maybe on the Senate side, they can more thought into that data collection side and reporting side about how is this something that we can track for unintentional consequences.
And I think, to be fair, you're not necessarily feeling like the advocates were going to commit fraud. They're just going to, but because they are, they do this job because they care about these people. And is that going to cloud their judgment?
And there could be people who do it for fraud. And how do we know whether that has happened? Right?
Yeah.
Yes, there's the piece where they could be, there could be professional consequences. They could be prosecuted for perjury. But is that enough of a deterrent? Would we have the resources to actually go after those cases? How would we find them? You know what I mean? Like if you receive a letter from an advocate in not to pick on Nevada, but an advocate in Nevada, and you get this, and then you're evaluating it. You know, I just, the third party professional definition is very broad. And maybe the accountability is robust enough. I wish there was a way, and I understand the issue with like having a third party who is, I wish there's a way to have a third party that is not an advocate for the survivor, be the one who says, okay, I'm going to certify this as coerced. And from my understanding and from testimony and from talking to people, can't really do that except for a court, which is much harder for a survivor to access, right? And costs more. So this is a mechanism to have, the survivor be able to make a statement of course in an accessible way. And I'd love that. But then also, how do we make sure that there's accountability for that third party professional? And I'm just not convinced that, you know, like if you're a lawyer or you're an advocate, like you're an advocate for your client, like that's your job. Your job is not to be an impartial, like, is this course dead or not? Your job is to be like, okay, yep, I got it. I'm going to advocate for you. So those are my reservations. Are they, you know, will they be in what really happens in the real world? Is that going to be, you know, would that be an issue? And there's, because I think there's the issue of fraud, there's the issue of, you know, sort of that maybe gray area, right? Where it's like, are we setting up a system for people to take advantage of the system to, you know, we're setting up a system to really help people who this could be life-changing, and I acknowledge that and I want to support that, but I also want to make sure we're not setting up a system that can be taken advantage of.
Sure.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think for weeks now, I've been thinking about, you know, how do you find a mechanism to be sure that the allegation is credible?
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you know, how do you get a credible process for the creditor to say, no, I mean, I don't think it's credible, right? Do an investigation and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Good faith.
how do we do, you know, I've been trying to think of an alternative mechanism, but I haven't heard it. And so we're left with the courts, and there are a lot of problems with the courts. And just in terms of access, I mean, for anybody, much less, you know, someone in this situation. So I think what we did, though, was pretty significant. Remember, we had the three options kind of thing. And, you know, I think credibility of the accusation was a big part of that discussion.
Yeah.
And we chose a option that put it in hands of the creditor to be able to make a determination in good faith about whether the allegation was real. And so they have the power. If they see some sort of flag, they can say, no, you know, I don't think that's right. And they can go ahead with collection efforts.
Yeah.
So
True.
I think, I mean, I thought that was a key moment in our deliberation there, in trying to find that balance between the debtor who's trying to get some relief and get on with their lives, and creditors who are concerned about being at risk in terms of how they underwrite and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was the key for me in terms of resolving, I think, some of it. But plus, you know,
That makes sense.
saying something under perjury is a big deal, I think, for most people. On the data collection thing, you know, that's something I've been thinking too, but I think that'll be on. Ultimately, we got to study around, and DFR, they have limitations. Ultimately, I think it's going to be the Attorney General is the main enforcement, you know, agency there. And I would hope that they would be able because they can examine and investigate things that are beyond just the state chartered entities.
Mhm.
And I would hope that they're going to be part of that study. And if they feel they don't have the tools to address, collect data, or just find out what's going on in terms of good faith or whatever, I would hope they would come to us to do that. But I don't know how to change it
Yeah,
right now to address all those concerns.
yeah.
I talked too much.
No, that's okay.
We do have a lot of professionals in the room. I'm wondering if any of them would have any idea of how to address that.
The data collection,
Or, well, just the concern that you're having.
yeah.
If anyone, can we ask that question? I know it's late in the game.
Ask the question.
Yeah,
before.
I mean, it's like a core tension. It's like a core tension that I just, you know, that is hard to reconcile, the core tension. But
I think that there's a lot of unknowns and we won't know until we put something to effect. And then if we're seeing issues of fraud one way or the other, then it's time for us to act on it. But without any,
Yeah.
again, you know, the laws, like you said, are just coming online. We really don't know. We don't really have data yet, but does that mean that we should stop our process and wait for that data to come? I don't think so. I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
it's more like, how can we be part of the data collection?
Right.
How can we,
I'll start with
how
something.
can we be part of that?
And still help.
Yeah.
Help get things with course there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And suspicious transactions as well. Can't forget about that and how important that is to Vermonters as well.
So I'm not opposed to anything. The one thing that I would, and I think it's too late in the game to add it, but to kind of firm up that process of what happens when a debtor sends the letter to the creditor and says, please don't contact me, and make sure that there is a direct connection. I mean, we saw the 1974 rules, which are great because the creditor and the rules are first party. You know, and maybe that's something we can take up next year. As a kind of just clean that up, just make sure that it is, you know, you can get a letter after the first request, but after that, it's done. And there's no more phone calls, there's no more interactions until a court case comes. But that's my only comment, and I don't think we can add it to the bill at this juncture.
Too late right now to get into debt collection.
No,
That's another area. And sounds like you have a plan for drafting requests for next year.
gotta be careful on how many drafts I make.
But remember, after the session's done.
It all starts all over again.
And that's part of this, you know, I mean, I think it makes sense that we move this forward to something and, you know, we're all, maybe not all of us, but some group of 11 people will be here again in January. And they can deal with any problems that have come up.
I'm reluctant to just wholeheartedly buy into that thought, but on the other hand, in support of that point of view, the various specialists we have in this room, I don't think are bashful, and I think they'd be standing on the table telling us if there were still shortcomings that they really objected to. So that thought in mind, I'm comfortable seeing.
Further discussion? All right. Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to report favorably on H385 draft 1.17.
Someone,
Second. By Representative. Seconded by Representative Bosch. Is there any further discussion? Not, the clerk can call the roll.
Representative Bosch,
Yes.
Representative Booton.
Yes.
Representative Karis Duncan.
Yes.
Representative Cooper,
Yes.
Representative Duke,
Yes.
Representative Granning,
Yes.
Representative Miklas,
yes.
Representative Olson,
Yes.
Representative Priestley, yes. Representative White,
Yes.
Representative Markup.
Yes.
I responded to my hand.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but.
I was paying attention.
Just checking, make sure you're there.
Yes, 80%.
Okay, good job, committee, a lot of work. Thank you. Chris, thank you. Charlie, thank you. Thank you to DFR, Joe and Aaron. Everyone else that's worked on this. A lot of work.
Maria,
And,
Yeah.
and especially Maria, but
especially Maria.
but you don't have the, you still don't have the most drafts yet. David is still ahead of you.
Well, I don't know, because there were a lot of interim drafts that didn't actually get numbers, so I think I'm close.
Okay,
I would be happy to.
so Representative Raining will report this on the floor. Good work, committee.
Thank you.
We have anything now until what? 10:45. 10:45, we will look at H650, take some testimony, possibly mark it up and vote. We'll also look at H733 and mark that up and vote that one. That's the franchise agreement piece. It's like there's not much to it. We'll hear from David on that as well before we vote. So any questions, committee? Number 512 will be up for action this afternoon. We'll be hearing from superintendents or school board members, principals at 2:30 along with one of their attorneys on the issue of the amendment to 205. And we'll see how that goes. And we're also going to look at page 11, continued discussions on as well. Oh, that's right, the 674, so we have the House Appropriations Committee amendment to sister state bill, so hear that this afternoon.
When will that be on the floor? Oh, so I have to report on it tomorrow. Okay.
I'll notice that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, any questions? I think we can go off live and we'll be back at 10:45.